Today we are going to be doing a book haul, and this might be one of my most niche book hauls I've ever done. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. I know that in terms of TBR size, it's kind of a bittersweet moment because for the month, I'm quite down. I think that I know for sure that I read way more than I added to my TBR, but for the year I'm up because I forgot about all of the ebooks I bought at the end of March because, okay, so fellow Kindle readers, when I have packages delivered, I pretty much always pick whichever option is going to give me the digital credit towards getting like a Kindle ebook. So whenever I do that, I select that option that delivery day, and therefore I have like this pile of credits accumulating. Well, I didn't realize, and I'm sure I'm just, you know, not reading the terms and conditions, stupid me, that they expire eventually. So I bought a ton of T. Kingfisher ebooks at the end of March because I didn't want to let that credit go to waste. But because of that, it increased my TBR size technically. So a little bit bummed about that. But anyway, if you want to see the exact breakdown, I think that I'm up 6 for the year, but I can't totally remember. Here's the stats. Okay, so you see, there we go. Other than that, I did a good job of managing my TBR this month because I put most of my energy into buying reference books for some sewing projects that I have. So I'll put those at the end in case people are not as interested in those, which I understand. But we'll start with like kind of more typical things you see in a haul from me. Let's start with my pile of random books that I was influenced to buy, and we'll just keep the T. Kingfisher theme going. I did pick up What Moves the Dead. Now, if you are a watcher of this channel, you're thinking to yourself, doesn't Mara have a big fungi issue? Like phobia? Well, isn't that what this cover is? Yes. But after reading A House with Good Bones, where the plant horror in that didn't bother me that much, I decided, and I got feedback from some of y'all saying that you didn't think that this was that bad, especially compared to something like Mexican Gothic. So I'm gonna try. I love T. Kingfisher so much, and I've heard such good things about this book that I really would like to try it. So we're gonna see if I can make it work. Here's hoping, but I can't promise you that I can finish that. Next, we have The Tokyo Zodiac Murders by Soji Shimada. This is basically just because I'm having the best time with my Japanese mystery video that I'm working on, and I just am in a like acquisitive mood for classic Japanese, like cult bestseller, whatever, Japanese detective fiction. So I've heard great things about this one. I think it's some kind of like serial killer situation. So yeah, looking forward to getting to that one eventually. And then The Bandit Queens. Now I should say I actually was influenced by both of these after I watched, I think her name is Lena Norm's review of the Women's Prize nominees. The Bandit Queens was already on my radar because it was one of the recommendations in the Goodreads most popular mystery blog post that they had up. I did hear from several people that this is not really a mystery or a thriller. It's much more general fiction with kind of suspensey elements, which makes sense given that it was a Women's Prize nominee, and I'm cool with that. Like, I've got my expectations set so that when I'm in the mood for a story about women who are trying to off their husbands, this is what I'm gonna pick up. The other one that Lena covered in her video that was really intriguing to me is Glory by Noviolet Bulawayo. And this one, so the pitch for it is, think like African version of Animal Farm, but Lena says that that's a very reductive kind of pitch for the book. And just the way she was talking about it really intrigued me. She also talked about how this is a much more hopeful take on that kind of story. So I'm into that idea. And she just sold the hell out of it. So we're gonna give it a go. This is the rare case where I like the, well, not rare. I did that video once where I found out that I actually like US covers pretty well, but I like the US and the UK cover about the same, which I feel like is rare. And then a few books I've already read. So I got a pre-order in of What the Hex by Jessica Clare. This is the second book in a paranormal romance series from her. I love the work she does. You guys know that. This one I don't think is as good as the first one, but it still just like speaks to what I like in a romance. So I loved it and I had to pick up a copy. The Fabric of Civilization, How Textiles Made the World by Virginia Postrel. This is a nonfiction book about the history of fabric and it as a technology in human history that I just thought was fascinating. It's very diverse in terms of the types of history that you encounter. So there's like archaeology and history of science and social history. Like there's just a ton of different kind of threads, if you will, that come into this book. So if you like a historical nonfiction book and you like the idea of sort of an interdisciplinary approach to a topic, I think that you would like this. I really love this. And then I did get through 18th Century Dressmaking, which is the American Duchess Guide. I really like Abby Cox here on YouTube, and you will see when we get further into this why this is just a sampling of what's to come. But I do have a project that I'm going to be working on for Halloween, and this is the first book I've covered on this topic. I will say it's not quite, I made the cap, the 1760s cap for my Blades and Bodice Ripper book club. And I will say, I think that they probably could have a little bit more direction for an actual beginner. Slash, I think that they just kind of skip a step in here. So I will say that, but I thought there was a lot of really good information here. There are pictures and the instructions that are there are good. I just don't think they always tell you everything you need to know. And I'm very excited about this troubleshooting bit that they have for fitting, which I'm definitely going to need. So yeah, I think that this was a good reference book. And two books I got from publishers. So one was a Goodreads giveaway win, Blood Sugar by Sasha Rothschild. This is it's a thriller, but I think it's more like general fiction kind of a thriller. And this one's one that was recommended to me by my patron slash channel members as a 5-star prediction for me. It made it, I think, at least to the second round of my bracket that I did last year where I let you guys pick what I was going to read. So I had entered a giveaway and I won it. So yeah, I will be getting to this at some point. And then the lovely folks at Tor.com were kind enough to send me a copy of City of Bones by Martha Wells. This comes out, I believe, in September, I want to say. Yeah, on sale in September. I think that this is a reprint of an older title from her, but we'll find out. I do think that it has some sort of like fantasy version of a cyborg as one of the main characters. And we do know that Martha Wells is great at writing that kind of character. Yeah, Kot, a member of a humanoid race created by the ancients to survive in the capital W waste, and Sagai, his human partner, are relic dealers working in the bottom tiers of society, trying to stay one step ahead of the trade inspectors. When Kot is hired by the all-powerful wardens to find relics believed to be part of one of the ancients' arcane engines, he and his party begin unraveling the mysteries of an age-old technology. So there you go. Sounds like maybe steampunk, but like a different world fantasy. Yeah, I'm intrigued by this. So thank you to Tor.com for sending this my way. Is that... Yeah, okay. So that's it for like normal books. Now we're gonna get into the Mara loves, when she's learning a new skill, loves a book about it. She does. Why is she talking about herself in third person? No one knows. I do. I really do love good old-fashioned book when I'm learning something. And I mean, when I taught myself to code, which I've totally forgotten, but like I had to know that for a year for an internship. Really, any skill, I would enjoy having a book about it. And now that I am getting into sewing for myself, YouTube served me a couple videos about sewing books, and what was I supposed to do? Just ignore it? I think not. And then I got the excuse of I'm about to be able to start my Halloween costume, because yes, it will take me 5 months to make this thing because I'm new and still learning. But I am very into buying sewing books right now. So let's just run through the ones I got, shall we? Some of these were used, okay? Either at McKay's or online. So it's all good. First of all, there's 3 that I picked up I picked them up because they're old. That sounds weird. They're older books about how to make various sewing projects. And I think it's interesting to like learn about how people were sewing back then. So I thought that these would be fun references. They were all also very inexpensive. Household Sewing with Home Dressmaking by Bertha Banner. This is like the Victorian sewing guide that is often referenced. I grabbed that one. And then 2 Dover books, Historic Costumes and How to Make Them, as well as Medieval Costume in England and France, 13th, 14th, and 15th centuries. I just went with these because Dover's editions are pretty inexpensive, and both of these were published in the 30s, so I think it will be interesting to see what they thought it was to be historically accurate at the time. I just think this will be interesting. Then let's go to inspirational, beautiful books that have like up-close pictures of extant garments that are beautiful and inspirational and helpful to understand what people are talking about when they reference different silhouettes, etc. So I got the Fashion History book from the 18th to the 20th century. This is the Kyoto Costume Institute's book, and this is beyond beautiful. It's a Taschen. It's in the Taschen line, so you know that it's going to be very high quality, but like it's so many beautiful pictures. And like I said, I'm doing an 18th century project, so they have like a ton of close-up things showing you all of the details of things, which is very helpful and inspirational. So they also have like a lot of good written information in this as well, but I've been reading this specifically right now in the 18th century section, but this does go through, I think, like the 90s, the 1990s, that is. Oh my gosh, I'm out of breath just trying to lug up these books. Okay, 2 other like coffee table kind of books that I think would be very inspirational. Not right now necessarily, but at some point. So first of all, I found this at McKay's. So I didn't pay any money for this, but I thought that this was absolutely beautiful. It's the Vogue and Metropolitan Museum of Art's Costume Institute. It's the exhibitions they've had in the last while. So it's got like some of the iconic red carpet looks as well as like photos from the actual exhibitions. So I think this will be a lovely thing to peruse and get some inspiration from. I'm hoping that they have a lot, like look at this image on the back. This is what really sold me. I hope they have a lot of information about the exhibits themselves, because the exhibit books usually out of print at this point. So I'm hoping that this has a lot of those highlights. And then this one, I think once I get like my feet under me and I really start wanting to make some sort of like historically, like history bounding. I'm not necessarily, like I'm doing an actual historical reproduction for Halloween this year, but like in my day-to-day life, I don't foresee myself making a bunch of like historically accurate or direct historical copies of things, but I do foresee myself doing some history bounding with some classic silhouettes. And one area in particular that I think I would like to explore are some of these sporting fashions of the 1800s. And this book is just like so beautiful, and it's all different sporting costumes for women in this era. So there's a couple of like pantaloon kind of situations that I found particularly inspiring. But yeah, I think that this is going to be a good inspiration book for some future projects. So like call this like a 2024 book, but I think that this is just beautiful. Okay, and then the remaining 4 I have are all directly for this Halloween costume I'm working on. First up, we have Corsets and Crinolines by Nora Waugh, which I've gathered she is kind of like a classic author in this area. I particularly got this to hear about the stays. I have a really good pattern for that with a lot of information, but I'm very intimidated by the process. so I'm looking for support. Like this, if nothing else, will provide me some like moral support that I think I have an idea of what I'm doing. Oh, and then I saw a bunch of people, this is another one I got used. I saw a bunch of people referencing the Reader's Digest complete sewing guides. And this is like apparently one of the best just sort of like how to sew reference manuals there is. Sometimes I am not sure what people mean by terminology, and this has some helpful information and some illustrations and yeah, just generally a good like all around how to sew reference. Then two more 18th century specific ones. So first of all, 18th century fashion in detail. This is from the Victoria and Albert Museum. I'm slowly making my way through this, reading it. But I just like some of the up close, the pictures are, it's in detail because it is showing you like up close the details. And sometimes when people are talking about different things in patterns slash just like in general and tutorial stuff, I don't totally understand what they mean. So being able to see like some very up close pictures of this stuff has been very helpful, since I do not have a collection of 18th century garments at my disposal to peruse. And then finally, costume close-up, clothing, construction, and pattern 1750 to 1790. This is from the Colonial Williamsburg people. I do wish that these pictures were in color. That is the only bummer here, but it does have some really good information. I particularly so far have read this section on stays, and there are some patterns even if it doesn't have like the grid that I would hope for. Because I am a fat lady, which I know some people don't like it when I say fat, like is a neutral term to me. It's not like it's an accurate description. Anyway, different people have a different journey with how to describe their bodies. I'm fat, and that's fine. But it does mean that some of these patterns I have to scale up anyway, so I am getting good. I'm being forced to get good at scaling patterns in some situations. So I am now used to using the little grid guy to do a pattern, and I wish that this had the actual grid lines, and I wish the pictures were in color. But other than that, the information in this is really, really good. I've so far really focused on the stays and the shift because that's where I'm at right now. I feel like so far that has had some good information. There's my random obsessive collection of sewing things. You just got a little, what is that? There's a TikTok sound that's like, I need to buy all the things for my new hobby. Like that's how I feel about this right now, but with books.
I'm off to do a new hobby. Thanks to hyperfixation, all I can think about is the new hobby. I've done hours of research. I know everything about the hobby. I've spent way too much money on premium products for this hobby.
I still have more that I have my eye on. You may see those coming in as I find good deals on different ones. I think that is my somewhat unorthodox book haul. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you guys have read any of the books I discussed, and let me know if you have the same obsession I do with getting books about your hobbies, that if I'm alone or if you guys do that too. Let me know that in the comments below. And yeah, I think that will do it for this video. So if you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below, and I think that will do it. I hope you're having an absolutely lovely day today, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye!